Hey everyone, FireSolved here. Most of you simply know me as the guy who made the crafting skill potion mod. The rest of you are probably here because of the content I recently started producing for Ark Survival Ascended. But today I'm posting a video that I've debated for quite a while whether or not I should even share. I don't like to be involved in drama, but unfortunately in this situation, I feel like staying silent does more harm than good. In this video, I will be exposing Crysta, author of the mod Prehistoric Beasts for Ark Survival Evolved and Ark Survival Ascended. So why am I exposing her? And why now? Simply put, she is a fraud. Pretty much everything the Ark community knows about her is a complete fabrication. She has been lying to absolutely everyone for years now, and it's time for the truth to be revealed. Good people have had their hard-earned money stolen from them by this master manipulator. She has stolen intellectual property from other games, and then, when confronted about it, received assistance from her friends in covering it all up. I've tried to give her the benefit of the doubt after she was caught red-handed in 2022. But now it's been almost 2 years, and I see she is still using stolen assets. In a recent Ark cross-platform mod spotlight video, Prehistoric Beasts was featured starting at the 57-second mark. Postosuchus and Nazutoceratops are shown. Unfortunately for Crysta, the clip of Postosuchus features its roar. It's a recognizable sound effect, and someone in the comments section even pointed it out. It's the same roar used in a TV miniseries titled Walking with Dinosaurs, which aired in 1999. Take a listen to this comparison. Now, I know some people are going to defend her by saying that the show is 25 years old. Let me stop you right there. It doesn't matter. The sound effect is not hers. She ripped it straight from a YouTube video and placed it in her mod. Absolute trash. There's no denying it. But that's not all regarding Postosuchus. No. The model itself that she's still using in both the ASE and ASA versions of the mod is stolen. That's not just an accusation. I have a screenshot of her admitting to Postosuchus, along with a handful of other models, being stolen. But we'll get to that a bit later. I know this won't be easy to hear for people who are a fan of the mod and want to believe that she's innocent of all these things. I've barely touched the surface on the things she's guilty of, and I just hope that even if you're a supporter of hers, you will give me the courtesy of listening to what I have to say and form your own opinion of the situation based solely on the evidence I will be providing in this video. As you can tell by the length of this video, there's a lot of it. As I've already mentioned, she is a master manipulator. She is a professional at playing the victim, and I fully expect that if this video makes its rounds, she will try to defend everything by calling it a witch hunt. But it's not a witch hunt when you have all the evidence to back it up. So let's get started. My name is Daniel. I go by FireSolved Online, and I met Crysta on an official server way back in December of 2017. We became friends, and a few months later decided to make our own unofficial cluster, which we called Ignis Core New. This was my introduction into the world of modding for Ark, and in late 2019, she became inspired by creators such as Garuga and Shadlos. She began watching tutorials on how to make models, practiced, and eventually published Prehistoric Beasts on February 21st, 2020. Over the next couple of months, she added some new creatures. But she was a college student, so she got busy toward the end of the semester. People seemed to be enjoying the content, and I knew with the way her schedule was now, there was no way she could continue to handle it on her own. If she did, it would have probably taken at least 4 months to get one creature done, instead of the usual 1 to 2 months people had grown accustomed to. This was when I decided to step up and help. I was previously what I would consider to be an advisor, but my new role would be handling all of the work within the Ark dev kit, fixing bugs, and publishing all of the updates. Because the mod had to come from her Steam account, she even gave me login information for her account so I could publish those updates. I took over just before Ornithochirus was released, but my first creature that I made in the kit by myself was published to the mod in June 2020. The dev kit was very new to me at the time, but I'm a fast learner, so I quickly picked up on it and ended up producing several creatures over the course of the next year. I was very proud of the work I had done, and honestly, I'm still really proud of it. I learned a new skill and created what I believe were solid creature mechanics that really tested my abilities as a creator. It was deeper than that, though. I was creating something other people were enjoying, so that made me really, really happy. At the time, Crysta was doing all the work in Blender and other programs to get the models ready for the kit. She would send me files, and I would do my thing in the kit to bring them to life to the best of my abilities. During my time working for the mod, I was responsible for Neovenator and TLC Saltosaurus arrived on June 3rd, 2020. Massaspondylus and TLC Postosuchus arrived on July 19th, 2020. Siamosaurus, TLC Giant Sea Slug, and TLC Hanosaurus arrived on August 20th, 2020. Centausaurus and Kalinkin arrived on October 5th, 2020. Skeletal Postosuchus arrived on October 23rd, 2020. Dracovenator arrived on December 24th, 2020. Ornithochirus TLC arrived on January 5th, 2021. Prehistoric and Hyneria arrived on March 24th, 2021. And finally, Zuniceratops, Nazutoceratops, Pinacosaurus, and several INI options arrived on May 10th, 2021. All in all, that is 15 creatures within a year, excluding Skeletal Postosuchus because it was technically just a skin. As you can see, I was a very busy guy. From June to October 2020, I pretty much did one creature a month. Dracovenator took a bit longer because of how complicated it was. It was her desire to have it released by Christmas. I barely met that deadline and even had to spend Christmas Day 2020 fixing a bug that caused client crashes. Did I want to be working on Christmas? No, but when I commit to something, I go all in, and I felt bad that there was this bug preventing people from being able to play. Speaking of bugs, I recall one specifically with Dracovenator that I encountered about halfway through the process. This was a sponsored creature, so someone paid to have it made, and they had a say in its abilities. I had a heck of a time with one of the features, but it was most likely just a skill issue. I was a noob at the time, as I've said, and I did things that tested me as a creator, and I thrived on that. I enjoy learning. If I appear to have hit a brick wall, that makes me even more determined to find a solution. Crysta, on the other hand, is very quick to give up when she encounters any kind of issue. When I was having this problem, she actually told me that it was okay if I wanted to give up and we could just tell the sponsor this is how it had to be. But that's not me, so I didn't quit. And on December 1st, 2020, I finally solved it. While we're on the subject of being lazy, here's a fact. The original Ornithochirus was made by Crysta when I was still just an advisor. For those of you who have played with the mod, do you care to know the real reason why Ornithochirus can't carry even the smallest of creatures? They were originally supposed to, but then in bug testing, I found that Ornithochirus did this whenever you picked something up. Unlike my issue where I spent days trying to fix the problem, she spent maybe an hour on it and then decided to just give up. Instead of just being honest with everyone about why, she explained it away in the creature dossier as their aggressiveness being the reason they can't carry anything. When I worked on the TLC Ornithochirus, I found the fix and told her about it, but she didn't want it fixed because then it wouldn't match the dossier, aka she would have to explain to everyone the real reason why it couldn't carry anything. Crysta is absolutely atrocious in the dev kit. I would say during my time working on the mod, I did about 99% of the coding to her 1%. Even creatures she would like to take credit for were really done by me. Centausaurus is a prime example of this, and that's about as basic of a creature as it can possibly get. Kalinkin and Centausaurus arrived in the same update. There were far more difficult mechanics with Kalinkin due to the taming method, so we agreed that to speed things up, I would work on that while she worked on the easier creature. However, what ended up actually happening was me doing Kalinkin by myself, and then sitting in voice chat with her, telling her every single step she needed to do to make the Centausaurus code functional. Even with my help, when she sent the files over for me to plug into my version of the kit, one of its very basic functions was a broken mess. It would have been so much easier for me to just do the code myself, because she never even tried to learn on her own. But I tried to be nice, and remember that at one point in time, I didn't know what I was doing, and I was hopeful that by me teaching her, she would actually learn something. but she didn't even try to do that. And it's evident because all these years later, she's still just recycling code from vanilla Ark creatures, or code that I wrote, and adding it to her new creatures. No, seriously, look at this screenshot of her from 2023 thanking me for being good at coding because she relies on it to code her future creatures. Here's more screenshots of her asking if I would like to co-mod with her, aka help her with whatever creature she was attempting to work on. The definition of co-modding was us joining voice chat together, her sharing her screen with me, and I would walk her through the entire process of coding the creature. I'm not even kidding. She even admits in this screenshot that I do all of the heavy lifting. The very few things she has done has always been with help, and that she has to code with her hand held. Those are her words, not mine. As I said, she put no effort into learning anything. She wants to be spoon-fed every little bit of information. I'm jumping ahead a little bit here, but after the mod got sponsored, she would ask some of the dumbest questions in the Ark modding community Discord. I told her one time that it really wasn't a good look for her to ask questions that could A, easily be answered if she put any effort into searching for the answer in that very same Discord, or B, they are things she should know if after years she had ever bothered to put any effort into learning. I told her that some of the people in the Ark modding community were probably looking at some of the questions she was asking and then asking themselves, how in the world did this person manage to get sponsored by Wildcard? My name was still attached to the project at the time, and it was embarrassing to me because I felt like it also reflected badly on me. She could have asked me some of these questions and I would have helped. Instead, she asked strangers and then complained when most of the time no one would help her. It was equally embarrassing for me when people would ask if the creatures had custom animations and she would say yes. I told her on more than one occasion to stop telling people that because anyone with common sense can see that all the creatures are just recycled Ark animations. After all, I should know. I was the one setting them up. Every single one of her creatures are made using an existing Ark creature skeleton, and that's what allows her to make use of existing animations. Sometimes creatures can use a different skeleton that are close enough and they can work, but it's actually rare that the animations look good. In very few instances, I would go into Blender and make very minor alterations to an existing Ark animation so that feet weren't floating or whatever. But no, I'm not an animator and she sure as hell can't animate, so it is a blatant lie that she would tell anyone that any of her animations are custom. I walked away from her and the mod in June 2021. Since then, she has continued to pump out nothing but recycled garbage. Seriously, if people pay attention, her new creatures offer absolutely nothing new. Many of the taming mechanics are direct copies of Ark creatures, and abilities are taken from other mods, such as Anzu being a 100% direct copy of the S Plus Nanny open source code. Does she bother to give Orionson any credit in the mod description? No. And what I don't get is how she charges money for this and then has the nerve to say she is increasing her prices due to her improved skills. Pretty much every time she releases an update, the very few abilities these creatures have don't even work. Lyraniosaurus is a sad example of this. Its lone ability is to harvest fiber when set to wander. Yet when it was released, even that very basic function didn't work, and it took her almost a week to fix it. Again, this just proves how little she cares. Then she has the nerve to play dumb and say things like, oh, it worked for me when I tested it. No, it didn't. There's absolutely no way you loaded your game and tested this. It's not possible. I'm going to do a deep dive into a few of the other creatures because I don't think most people fully understand what a joke this has actually become. Achioraptor is probably the most interesting because this creature was supposed to be the one I worked on next if I didn't quit in June 2021. When I was set to do the code, it was going to have all of these crazy abilities. It was going to be a rideable creature with gliding like a rock drake or Maywing, climbing like an enforcer with the dash ability, jumping like a Managarmr, and so much more. Instead, what did you all get? An incredibly boring yet overpowered shoulder pet. Why? Well, when Crysta and I went our separate ways, she flat out admitted to me it would have to be a basic creature because she does not know how to code like me. However, when it came time to release it, she told everyone, including me, that the person who sponsored it decided on these changes. Looking in her Discord, Gigaraptor is the person responsible for sponsoring this creature. Giga, if you're watching this, I'd really love to know if this is in fact what you wanted, or if she steered you in that direction because she was too incompetent to code what you actually wanted it to be. I know she's capable of doing that because after I quit working on the mod, I later found out from one of our investigators that he had an idea for a creature he sponsored but was told by Crysta that it wasn't possible. I was the one coding it and she never even bothered to ask me. Dirk has to be in the top 3 for worst creatures she's added since I quit. Simply put, it's an enlarged Cinemacrops. Anyone can see it. It uses the exact same sounds, and it's quite sad because I know someone provided her with an entire batch of creature sound effects. Surely she could have picked something from that pack rather than recycling the Cinemacrops sounds. The taming method is just a copy and paste of the default ARC fishing code, which I also used for the Postosuchus taming method. How boring can you get that you would use the same taming method twice? Dulong is one of the first creatures she added after I left, and it's an absolute dumpster fire. For what you get out of it, I think the taming method requiring 3 artifacts is a bit much. But hey, at least it's not just a direct copy of something else, right? I knew the idea behind this creature's ability was to be similar to a Minecraft beacon. One creature can have several different functions depending on the roll of the dice. However, in this case, it's very poorly executed. Dulong is not a shoulder pet. It is squishy, so why would any of these abilities be useful if it's required to walk alongside you? A single raptor could probably run up to you and kill it before you even realize what's happening. Of the 14 different buffs it can provide, the dumbest one though is called Bigger Lungs, which makes your players drain oxygen slower. Again, it's not a shoulder pet, and you have to remain within a short distance of it. It can't follow you underwater, so this ability is absolutely useless. What a joke. Stransevia. Fun fact, after I quit the mod, I actually did come back and assist with some of the code for this creature. The only reason I did return was because I knew this was a community voted creature, and I was hopeful that it could at least be decent with my assistance. I couldn't just sit by and let her deliver another completely broken creature. The day-night taming code was mine, as well as the sniff ability to detect nearby creatures, and the Apex Hunt minigame associated with that. Both were codes I created from scratch, while the rest of its abilities, which she did, are a copy and paste, such as the Argentavis regeneration when harvesting a corpse. Lulalabaya and Nemongosaurus have the exact same ability, except one works on land and one works underwater. I find Nemongosaurus to be hilarious because she told me that she made that for me for my birthday after I quit working on the mod. But later in conversation, she tells people I was rude when I quit. Why would you make me a creature for my birthday if I'm so awful? Speaking of awful, this creature was a broken mess when she launched it. Its lone ability did not work, and its hitbox was so small you could only tame it by kicking it with a horse. You could not shoot it with arrows, put it in cryopods, or use the Dino Storage Soul Gun to transport it back to base. Oh, and the ability is so overpowered. Instead of just setting the taming rates of your server to what you want, you tame this thing and carry it around with you to drain the food of anything you're taming. I tried it once and it drained like 1,000 food in 30 seconds. Yet she claims this mod is balanced around vanilla Arc. Lythronax is a Rex model that she purchased, slapped some feathers on it, and called it Lythronax. She doesn't even correct anyone when they tell her what a great job she did on the model. She didn't make it, everyone. PXL Tiger is the one that made this model. So if you want to give anyone credit, go to his shop and tell him what a great job you think he did. He deserves it, not Crysta. In my opinion, Paraxenosaurus has one of the most overpowered abilities of any creature in her mod. We all know how incredibly overpowered Shadowmanes are, right? It's frustrating to tame them, but generally I think most people would agree that for what you get, the difficulty of the taming method at least makes sense. But what if you had a mod dino that could just bite fish and turn them into fish baskets? That's what this creature does. It's insane to me how overpowered this thing is in giving you easy access to tame one of the best creatures in the game. Yet again, she claims she makes creatures that are balanced around vanilla Arc gameplay. Pyroraptor is a creature I know a lot of people enjoy, and even though most of its code is a copy and paste of the Phoenix, it works because the Phoenix was super annoying to tame and weren't really worth it. But what if I told you that I had a hand in making this creature what it is? Crysta had the idea for the Phoenix variant of this creature, but she wasn't even going to bother giving it any flame effect. That was my idea, as was the ability that a Phoenix Pyroraptor could transform into different tiers to become even stronger. I did the code for that functionality as well. Celeidosaurus. I'm not even sure where to start with this one. This is one of the laziest creature designs I've ever seen. It's just a basic shoulder pet that for some reason sits on your back, but can reduce damage taken from a shotgun to the face. Please tell me, how does that make any sense at all, and how is that balanced around vanilla Ark gameplay? Yangchuanosaurus. We've reached the end. I went in alphabetical order when discussing these creatures, but it also just so happens that I saved the best for last. Yang is my favorite creature that she stole because she was actually dumb enough to release it with a stolen model 5 months after she got busted for stealing other models. We will get into those juicy details a bit later, but as far as abilities go, the taming method just sounds like an actual nightmare. It also has a fear roar and a healing roar. What groundbreaking features. I knew for a while that Crysta had been entering Wildcard's mod sponsorship program that they created to help mod authors take their projects to the next level. I supported her in this, even though I honestly didn't really think we had much of a chance at winning. There's a lot of really great mods out there, and my opinion was that we had only been at this a year at the time, we were still amateurs, and I just really thought that if something like this were to happen, right now wasn't the time. Well, much to my surprise, in March 2021, she sent me a message in Discord telling me that she had been notified that the mod had been selected. We discussed the details, and she shared with me that when you're chosen to be in the mod sponsorship program, that actually means Wildcard will pay you. I was completely blown away by this because the entire time I thought it was just an honor to be selected, you got a badge for bragging rights, and your mod was featured in the community crunch. I did not know that any amount of money was involved, so to say I was stunned would be a huge understatement. I never brought up how we would split the money, and I assumed that because we were such great friends as well as mod partners, she would do the right thing and split the money 50-50, or at least give me a fair share. We discussed the contract she had to sign because the way it was phrased, we weren't sure if she would be receiving $4,000 total over the course of 4 months, or if she would be receiving $4,000 each month for 4 months. She even asked her dad for his advice, and he came to the conclusion that it would be one check for $4,000, which would cover the duration of the sponsorship. She told me when she received her first check, which was in fact for $4,000. I was very happy for her, but in the back of my mind, I was sort of waiting for her to ask how I'd like my portion to be sent over. It didn't happen. Again, I didn't question splitting the money. It's kind of an odd discussion to have with someone that you're not only close friends with, but business partners. I also felt like I shouldn't have to ask in order for her to do the right thing. I once again asked her if she thought that $4,000 is to cover the entire 4-month duration, or if it was going to be $4,000 each month. She said she thought it was going to be monthly because the website says monthly. I didn't read too much into it though. I figured we'd find out in 30 days, so we carried on. But nothing was ever mentioned again. That is until early June when we were in a voice chat. We were playing Ark together, and she casually let it slip out that she actually received $16,000. My heart sank, and I was absolutely devastated. In this moment, I felt very disrespected, and felt like there was no way this could end well, whether I asked about my portion of the money or not. So I did ask. I asked her why it was not split between us, and she didn't have a good answer as to why. In that conversation, I found out not only had she received 4 checks for $4,000 each, there wasn't even any money left to share with me because she had spent every single penny on college. I think what bothered me the most is that she knew at the time I had been saving up money to purchase my dream PC and was within reach of being able to purchase it. Honestly, I would have been satisfied if she would have just given me enough money to cover the remaining costs for that PC. But instead, she had this selfish, entitled attitude. And to be totally fair about everything, I was actually the one doing most of the work. Wait, let me backtrack. At the time, I thought I was doing most of the work. But it turns out I was actually doing all of the work because while I was spending countless hours in the dev kit, Crysta was not actually making models. She was stealing them from games like Jurassic World Evolution. This was the beginning of the end for me. She tried to pin most of the blame on her parents, which I'll admit I bought the story for a little while. It was a few weeks later when I finally came to the realization that she was lying and using me. I walked away from the friendship, the mod, and it was at that time I left the Prehistoric Beasts Discord. I wanted nothing to do with her as a person, but I continued using the mod on my server. As I said, I was very proud of the work I had done. When I was a young kid and people asked what I wanted to do when I grew up, I said I wanted to be a game developer. And I knew at this point in my life that modding for Ark was probably the closest I'd ever come to fulfilling that dream. About a month had passed when she published an update for the mod that completely broke the game for anyone subscribed to it. For those of you who have been subscribed for a long time, you might remember this. You literally couldn't even start your server or load your single-player game without it causing a crash. Ironically, here we are in January 2024 now, and she just published another update that did the exact same thing, which proves she doesn't test anything, nor does she actually know what she's doing. I had rejoined the Prehistoric Beasts Discord server just prior to this update because I was still subscribed to the YouTube channel and saw an announcement video that an update was incoming that day. After her untested patch broke the game for everyone, I contacted her about it. I offered to call and assist her in finding out what was the exact cause. But before we got the chance to call, I did some testing of my own and determined that she had done something wrong, and the issue was happening if you did not have her bonus variants mod installed alongside the main mod. After this video gets out there, she will surely try to paint me as this awful person, but if I was so awful, why would I bother telling her how to solve the problem? I could have let the mod rot, but I didn't because at the end of the day, it was about the other people who used the mod and making sure it was fixed for them to enjoy. I didn't care at all about Crysta. I eventually left her Discord again in December 2021 because I felt like my efforts to be helpful were all for nothing. As I previously said, I helped with Innostransevia and even bug tested it. Many of the issues I brought up prior to release were ignored, and she eventually released a very broken Innostransevia, which I thought was a huge shame because it was a community-voted creature. I felt like if there was any creature that you should have put 110% effort into, it was that one. But she didn't make any money off that commission, so I truly believe that's why she couldn't be bothered to do a good job on it. A few weeks after I left, I received a message from a guy who is a modder himself. He wanted to ask me a few questions regarding the models in Prehistoric Beasts. Going forward, I just want to mention that I'm going to start blocking people's names and profile pictures because it's not my intention to drag these people into drama. But you can see the brief discussion we had on January 26th, 2022, which lasted about an hour. I joined the group chat he referenced. It eventually got too big because Discord has a max number of people allowed, so we eventually had to make an actual Discord server for our investigation group. Initially, I felt like people were skeptical of me as well because I had been involved with her for so long. I wanted to be very open and honest about what I had witnessed. The rest of the group had some comparison images between her models and the ones they believed were ripped off. I'm going to toss those up on the screen now and just talk about them a little bit. This one is her Mapusaurus compared to the one from Jurassic World Evolution. The top picture is the Namongosaurus she added on October 30th, 2021, and the bottom picture is the old Therizino model from the Isle. To me, this is one of the saddest parts of the entire story. A child, who was around 13 to 14 at the time, commissioned Crysta to make a Suchomimus model for his mod and paid her to do the work. The top picture is what she gave him, and the bottom picture is the Suchomimus model from the Isle. I was told at some point this was an old Baryonyx model, so you may see in later screenshots that I refer to it as that, but a Google search will show you this very same photo, and it is Suchomimus. We'll get to this in more detail later, but for now I'll say that she was later confronted, and she refunded this kid his money, no questions asked. If that doesn't scream guilty, I don't know what does. The top picture is her Neovenator, and the bottom picture is the Allosaurus from Jurassic World Evolution. The top picture is her Celodosaurus, and I believe the bottom picture is Polycanthus from Jurassic World Evolution, but I might be wrong on the name. I don't know. I've never played that game. The top picture is Nodosaurus from Jurassic World Evolution, and the bottom picture is her Penicosaurus. It was determined by others not me, that when she took these models, in order to hide the fact that she ripped them off, she did what is called retopology. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but anyway, in this example, you can clearly see the similarities. My understanding of the process is it will produce a lower quality version of the model. For Pinacosaurus, it appears as if she took Notosaurus, flattened its body, and added a club to the end of its tail. This is a conversation one of our investigation members had with someone who is connected with Jurassic World evolution in some capacity. You can see here where they are discussing Yangchuanosaurus, and this person says they overlaid it with the JWE version and it is identical. Here's another conversation between our group member and someone associated with Jurassic World evolution. They confirm that all models they were shown were recognizable as JWE models and confirmed suspicions that she was taking bits and pieces from various models and combining them to make them appear to be original works by her. Basically, what this boils down to is she didn't just simply steal models or download stolen models accidentally. She was very deceptive in doing this by using parts from various creatures in order to make them appear to be different. Unfortunately, at this point, we had the word of other people saying yes, they are stolen, but we needed more before confronting her with anything. It was around this time I recalled Crysta having an alternate Discord account. I provided the investigation group with the username and 4-digit number associated with the account. Within just a few minutes, one of the members of this group found her in the Open Nausea Modding Community Discord server, asking about editing 3D models from Jurassic World evolution. For reference going forward, this alternate account is King Pickle number 3213, and at the time of making this video, the posts from this account are still visible in that Discord. In fact, if you want to go see this for yourself before she deletes it, I'm going to include a link to the Open Nausea Modding Community Discord so you can join and see for yourself. You can see in these screenshots she's asking for assistance in March 2021. My favorite, though, is her very first post, where she introduces herself as a modder for JWE, as I've told absolutely everyone associated with this. Why would she hide behind an alternate account if she was legitimately modding for another dinosaur game? In March 2021, she was already established as Crysta in the ARK modding community. Why wouldn't she use her main account? Well, I'll tell you, it's simple. It's because she's a liar and a thief. Now, you may be saying, okay, well, how does this prove this is actually her? Well, funny you should ask. As pathetic as it may sound, this girl actually used the same alternate account to fake a sponsorship for one of her very first creatures that she added into Prehistoric Beasts. Why did she do this? Well, according to her, she started a Patreon, and because no one had subscribed yet, she thought if people saw one person join, more would follow. She has also been known to use alternate accounts on YouTube in order to leave comments on her own videos, giving herself praise. Something I learned through the investigation group is she would also use the King Pickle account in other modders' discords, such as Garuga and Shadlos, in order to promote her own work. She even trash-talked Shadlos in his very own Discord and used the alternate account to agree with herself in a meaningless debate. I wish I was making this up, but again, those conversations still exist in those Discords at the time I'm recording this video. I did know of a couple instances where she had used her alternate account. The first was the creature sponsorship. I told her it was wrong, but in the end I figured it probably wouldn't work, so I didn't fight it too much. And to be honest, it didn't work. It took quite a long time before a real person joined her Patreon. The other instance was more disturbing, and I also made it known that I was against it, but it seemed to be an isolated incident, so I chalked it up to her being childish. She sent me a message of a screenshot of a conversation she had with someone that she didn't like from another Discord. But as she so casually puts it, her reason was she wanted to rub his nose in her success. I don't know about you all, but I'm a firm believer in what goes around comes around. I don't know this other person, but I hope they've found success in what they're doing, and I hope the outcome of this video knocks Crysta down off her high horse. Other than Crysta, I really wanted to keep people's names out of this video as much as possible. However, Shadlos is too important to the story going forward to simply exclude his name. It's completely relevant to the story, and will hopefully give everyone a full picture of what kind of a scumbag Crysta is. On your screen now are just a few of the screenshots I have of Crysta trash-talking Shadlos to me over the years. This is one of the worst things she did, but even worse than that was the fact that after I quit, she went crawling to Shadlos for help with her mod. Look at the things she's saying about him, and then she has the nerve to go ask this man for any help. It sickens me, and I voiced my opinion about it with her. Back to the investigation group. So because Shadlos was now her co-modder, our investigation group felt like it was best to go to him before we talked to her. Unfortunately, he was unhelpful. In fact, he assisted her in covering it up. I don't have screenshots of the actual message where he said the words, but I do have a screenshot of my discussion with someone else in regards to the threats Shadlos made against our investigation group. His exact words were that if we ever went public with these accusations, he would bury us. Think about that for a second. Crysta steals models, uses them for financial gain to defraud Wildcard of $16,000, and he is defending her and threatening anyone who even considers going public with this information. Unfortunately, this scared a lot of the investigation group because most of them were small-time mod developers, and Shadlos is more well-known. They were greatly concerned that he would use his status within the modding community to come after them if they did anything that went against him or Crysta. Shadlos essentially started running this show. He told us what we could and could not do going forward, which I was very unhappy with. We were eventually told by him that we could confront Crysta about the claims in the private Patreon-only area of her Discord, but that we were not to mention him by name. As I said, he helped her more than he helped us, so by the time we were allowed to confront her, she was already well aware it was coming and had been coached on how to respond. I'm going to show a few screenshots now that Shadlos actually provided one of our investigators from a conversation he had with Crysta prior to us confronting her. The biggest flaw in this discussion is he does not press her at all to provide a name of an online store. Instead, he gave her an out by suggesting one, to which she responds, "Maybe, that place sounds familiar." As soon as that happened, I told everyone that he should have given her a fake store name, and she probably would have said the exact same thing. That would have been a dead giveaway that she was lying. Instead, because Shadlos is her friend, he protected her and covered it up. Another issue I have is he never once questions her as to why she advertised in her Discord and on Steam itself that all models in the mod were made by her. Even if she supposedly bought models, this still proves what a liar she actually is, and that no matter what the circumstance is, she wants all the credit. But he doesn't even question it. She also makes claims that she did not know they were from Jurassic World Evolution, but I can 100% say that is a lie, because she spent many, many hours playing that game. And while she was playing, she would even make observations such as, "Oh, I really like the crest on this," indicating that she would like to do something similar for her version of the creature. Little did I know that her admiring their work actually meant she was going to rip it off and then pass it off as her own. It eventually came time for us to confront Crysta, but we actually agreed to delay it by a full day because we heard she was attending a family member's funeral. I was not in her Discord at the time and would have been public enemy number 1 if I had even tried to join, so I stayed out of it entirely and relied on information being passed down to me. I told the rest of the investigation group I didn't care when this confrontation happened, so long as it was mentioned to her active Patreons prior to the 1st of February, so that they would not be charged their monthly donation fee if they no longer wanted to support her because of this. We also agreed that instead of 10 plus people jumping all over her at once, it would be best to designate a single spokesperson to confront her in the beginning. The initial message confronting her was sent, and after a few minutes, Crysta responded by immediately gaslighting. She lies through her teeth about absolutely everything, including saying that she tried to offer me some money, but then immediately tries to cover her lying tracks by saying maybe she wasn't super clear. How could you possibly offer me a portion of $16,000 and yet it's not super clear? It's a lie. She mentions that after I found out, she attempted to PayPal me some money. This is actually the truth, and yes, I immediately refunded it. In the description of the payment, she says it's not a guilt thing, but it definitely was, and I did not want any of her money out of pity. She also makes claims that I was rude, which are completely false. I refunded the money on June 7th, 2021, and we continued to have conversations like normal for several weeks until I officially walked away from it all. In fact, part of the reason I ultimately walked away was because it was like pulling teeth to get her to play Ark with me, But when I was gone for an entire weekend, I noticed she spent the entire time playing on Shadlos' server. I knew then that she was preparing to replace me, so that's when we officially parted ways. Anyway, back to the confrontation. She continues to dodge questions and pretend like attempting to send me 2% of what she received from Wildcard was trying to resolve the issue. Someone specifically asks about the Suchomimus model being from the Isle, and she claims a little bit might be. Then she says she refunded this person his money. What an absolute joke of a response. The good news, though, is this guy later posted a screenshot of his model, and someone else made it and did a really good job on it. She goes on to tell people not to take my word for it, even though at this point, all I really did was answer questions and tell them about the alternate account that led to finding out that she's a fraud. A couple of sponsors ask for refunds, and she gives it to them without putting up any kind of a fight. Again, that's an admission of guilt, no question about it. Crysta then left for work, at which point the conversation was paused, and rightfully so. Once she returned, she said she would answer questions and make an announcement. Instead, she gaslights again and makes claims that she is the target of a witch hunt. I'm sure that was a new phrase she Googled while she was at work and wanted to be sure to put it to good use. That's why I'm also confident that when she sees this video, or at least learns about it, she will say the exact same thing. One of the best lines in this whole confrontation is that she says she would have much rather told people herself. Excuse me? You stole models, lied, and ripped people off for 2 years at that point. Clearly, you were not going to tell anyone. In this screenshot, I get accused of starting a witch hunt, even though I did not start any of that discussion. One thing I want to address here is the accusation of me trying to get into Crysta's account. If you recall earlier, I said that she gave me access to her Steam account when I had to publish updates. We were also close enough that we shared login information with Discord and other things. When we were trying to investigate the King Pickle account, I attempted to log into what I believed to be that account, but it turned out that it was her main account. Should I have even attempted it? In hindsight, probably not. But I'm not a hacker of any sorts as she would like people to believe. Crysta then goes on to claim that she had tiny bits of online help. Please enlighten me as to what this means. It's absolutely insane that anyone would believe a word of this nonsense. She continues to play the victim, though, by going on about panic attacks. Like, you caused this, no one else. Why are you pretending like you're being unfairly attacked? She mentions hiatus again, and then we don't hear from her after 7:25 p.m. on January 30th, 2022. The following day, she returns with a ping, and after having some time to prepare her response, she claims she would like to be open and honest with everyone about what happened. I was hopeful in the beginning. The message starts out fine, but then falls apart quickly once we reach the end. Once again, she can't say where she got the models. She says from shops or wherever. No one had the guts to ask for receipts, names of shops, anything. They just take her at her word. Shadlos finally chimes in, asking for a fix for Oxalea, and then there's not much chatter beyond that. I do want to mention that even knowing Oxalea is a stolen model, Shadlos is yet to replace it in his mod as far as I can tell. A quick search in his Discord sees some discussions about a TLC, but I don't actually see where that's happened. If I'm wrong, I apologize, but from a quick search, like I said, I don't see where it's been fixed, and as of December 2023, he too has a stolen model, and he knows it's stolen, and it's in his mod. The part that irritates me the most about Crysta's response is the fact that our investigation group agreed to withhold the evidence of her alternate account in the Open Nausea modding community Discord. We knew she would lie, and we could use this to catch her in that lie. Sadly, the leader of our investigation group was too close to Crysta himself and decided not to present that evidence. It's absolutely no coincidence that this all happened at the end of January 2022, and then when her next mod updates hit, it was TLCs. Of the 10 creatures she listed in her confession, she only ended up giving a TLC to half of them. This means that after 2 years, at least 5 stolen models are still in the game, including Postosuchus, which was ported over to Ark Survival Ascended, Ornithochirus, Penicosaurus, Nemongosaurus, and Salitosaurus. Here's something strange though. On June 28th, 2022, Crysta added Yang Chuanosaurus to the mod as a brand new creature. But on March 4th, 2023, she published an update which included Yang model change-ups. Why was it changed up? There's no explanation for it, and shockingly enough, not a single person in her Discord asked about it. She added it to her mod 5 months after she was confronted for using stolen property, and in her confession, she even included Yang among the 10 creatures she used non-ARC bits, aka that means she stole them from JWE. So why was the model changed up? Well, it turns out she was actually dumb enough to publish Yang with a stolen model after getting busted. Here's a conversation I had with someone who has ties to Jurassic World evolution. Based on their initial response, I have to believe this is the same person who had previously spoken to someone from our investigation group. Anyway, our conversation began on February 23rd, 2023, and ended on March 3rd, 2023. So weird that it would end one day before she changed up the Yang model. And it was done so poorly that you can clearly see the seam where she chopped off the stolen head and placed on a new one. Unfortunately, based on my conversation with this person and my understanding of the modeling process, she has altered the stolen models so much that they technically become original works. Congratulations, Crysta. You managed to figure out a way to cheat the system. But then again, maybe this is part of the reason why several people have mentioned over the years that your models look so smooth and look like plastic. However, it doesn't change the fact that she is a complete fraud. It is my hope that this video makes its way through the art community because this type of behavior should not be supported in any way. In my opinion, she has no place within the modding community. She does not respect other people's work. Instead, she has no remorse in stealing it for financial gain. I've often said that I'm no longer upset about not receiving my portion of the $16,000 because to me, knowing what I know now, I would have felt horrible if I had received that money and then found out it was obtained on fraudulent terms. In fact, in February 2022, she emailed me and offered to give me my half. I turned her down. I do not want her dirty money. It's not about the money for me. It was the disrespect. But after learning of all this, it's not even just the disrespect towards me. It's what she's done to everyone she has encountered on this journey. I often think about other modders who worked extremely hard, did things the right way, and never got an opportunity to become a sponsored mod. Wildcard chose 4 mods that month, and in my eyes, she robbed someone truly worthy of an opportunity to receive that honor, and someone who deserved that money more than she did. She committed fraud, plain and simple. It bothers me that the few people in the modding community who know about this continue to support her. I hope that support comes to an end with this video. I really do. As I said in the very beginning, I debated on whether or not to post this. I was going to just let it go, but it's hard when I feel like people are still being scammed. Even in recent months, she takes credit for work that isn't hers. She does not even make models anymore. Well, to be fair, I have my doubts that she ever actually legitimately made one. But anyway, she doesn't correct people when they tell her she did a good job on the model. Instead, the actual model creators get a very tiny shout out in the thank you section of her mod page, and she does not specify which models of theirs she actually used. She has absolutely no idea what she's doing, and she really doesn't deserve the support of anyone. I know people like having mods that add more creatures. It helps bring the game to life. I get that. But we have to draw the line somewhere. There's other modders out there who actually have integrity and would love your support. We should all absolutely be supporting those people. Don't support people like her who lie, cheat, and steal their way to even the slightest bit of success. She has had years to correct her mistakes and become a better person, yet she doesn't care to do that. She just wants your money. At some point, I think we have to look ourselves in the mirror and ask ourselves if this is the kind of behavior we want to tolerate. I know I've seen enough. I've tried to give her the benefit of the doubt. She was once someone that I considered to be one of my best friends, so it's incredibly hard for me to sit here and make a video like this, but it has to be done. I've sat around hoping that she would grow and stop lying to everyone. But sadly, by importing a stolen model with stolen sound effects into Ark Survival Ascended, she has made it very clear to me that will never happen. She is hoping that the few people who know about this will all continue to stay silent. She is hoping that the threat Shadlos made in January 2022 will protect her from ever being exposed. But today is the day. People will now know the truth about Crysta and her mod Prehistoric Beasts.